Woo!
Hello out there. Welcome. We're actually streaming and talking and getting ready to talk about Mandalorian. We have 2 episodes to talk about. Back with
2
Gina.
episodes. Hello. Everything's different. My hair's down, different background. Everything's different.
I'm the same as ever. But what isn't different is the thing above us. Or what is different is the thing above us.
Wait.
Can you see the
I
stream?
don't see.
Can you see the stream?
No.
Did you see the link I sent you?
Okay, hold on. Let me click on things.
Click on the
Gina's not technologically savvy.
Click
Hold on.
the link.
Click on the link.
I made it simple.
Yes, I want to go there. It's loading. Okay. It's loading.
This is a really long build up to 5 minutes of work.
I guarantee you I'm gonna load.
You're gonna be so excited.
Oh my goodness, now I want it to load faster. Internet, do better.
I mean, we can just talk and eventually it'll pop up and then we'll just have a moment where you get really excited.
I mean, that's true.
But for those of you who don't know where we left, oh, she saw it. I can tell by her face.
This is dope tuna.
It says dope tuna.
Oh my gosh, you thought I wasn't being excited, but I'm really. That's literally the best thing ever. I feel like my eyes are getting kind of glassy. That's amazing. Okay, you guys, it doesn't take a lot to get me excited.
I'm just really happy because I have like no good photo editor, so like cropping out the tuna that I stole from someone and then putting the clip art sunglasses that I stole from someone else and then using the clip art thumbs up that I didn't steal that was in my program, but I made it.
Oh my goodness, you stealing this also makes it right. Oh my god.
So somewhere out there, if you are the owner of that picture of a tuna, I will credit you if you find this tree.
Oh my gosh, someone stumbles upon this video and they're like,
I just get dragged on Twitter later for like stealing tuna clip art, and I'm like, this is how my internet career dies, by stealing tuna clip art, and it's worth it. It was worth it. I don't apologize.
After the stream is over and it's been archived, I'm gonna send parents and just be like, look at my reaction about this tuna. They're gonna be like, why?
So if you don't get why this is funny, you should watch our previous discussion of technology. I think is the one where we talked about the dope
tuna. The amount of people, when we changed our names on Twitter to Dope Tuna, the amount of people who were like, Gina, can I ask you a question? Like texted me. They were like, what is Dope Tuna? I was like, you gotta watch the stream, man.
You gotta watch
the stream.
You want some dope tuna, you know?
Ooh.
Anyway. So that's exciting. But yes, where we last left off, it was the technology episode where we learned about the volume. And now we're going to discuss the 2 episodes, Practical and Viz effects. And I largely just remember the 10 minutes where they talked about my son.
I watched both of them today, and normally I watch everything twice. Watched it once, and I was just like, oh yeah, pay extra close attention. But they were good.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, let me remember how to do this.
How do I watch things? I was worried that I wasn't going to remember how to talk, because I was just like, you know what? I need a week off from YouTube. And I did it. And now I'm like, what is this? How do I say words?
I think the other thing is, so I've been binge watching like a lot of comfort shows that probably like the comfort shows, actually, now that I think about it. And so I've binge watched like 5 different series within the past like 2 weeks. And so whenever I turn this on, I was like, okay, gotta switch to binge watching mode. Gotta actually like stop, pay attention, because I always pause whenever I watch it because I'm like, what did you say? What does that mean? And so I had to get out of like my binge watching headspace in order to watch it.
That makes sense. This is like the only thing I've watched. I was binge playing Life is Strange 2, which was not a comfort game either at all, but it was a good game.
Well, to be fair, I remember like maybe a month ago, one of the tweets that was going around was, what's your comfort movie, your comfort album, your comfort show? And it's so funny because based off that tweet, my sister went to my mom, and then my mom called me into her room and she just goes, Gina, your comfort movie is 42. And I was like, yeah, and everyone was like, so one of your comfort movies is Jackie Robinson overcoming racism and a demon clown eating children. And I was like, comfort. So I feel like what your comfort thing is, it's like whatever it is.
Sometimes comfort is catharsis, you know?
Yeah.
This is how it goes.
So let your comfort game be one that's not really comforting. Oh my goodness, I have not laughed this long in like weeks.
We were going to start the stream much earlier, and then we started talking, and then I went, we've never actually started the stream.
No. Oh, but it was good. It was nice.
It's nice to just talk to a human again. Oh my gosh. But anyway, Mando. So the first episode, which was the practical effects, I always get a little bit defensive as a prequels fan whenever we talk about how great practical effects are in Star Wars, because it always feels like a low-key snub at prequel movies. But in this case, I didn't feel like it was so much that, because we had seen the volume and the technology episode first, which granted isn't necessarily CGI, but kind of like an evolution of it. And so I didn't necessarily feel like they were actually trying to shade. And I feel like a couple of the directors even talked about they liked how it was a mix of like you have the practical effects that make you feel like you're there, but you also have this really cool fancy technology that you would never get to use anywhere else. So I appreciate that they spent an episode on like each of those. Yeah. Just because like I don't have anything against practical effects, but I'm like, you know, I'm like, it's always felt like a snub towards my trilogy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And the other thing, so I don't know how they decided what order, you know, to show these episodes in, because this very much could have been the first one or the second one.
Right.
And I also don't know how they decided to, you know, like shoot all these interviews and, you know, obviously edit them and then intersperse like from the actual set. But I feel like it was very smart of them to make this one of the last like back half of the episodes and around when they did technology, because at this point I also feel this is probably like too large of a word, but safe or comfortable with all of their opinions.
Right.
Because since we've had like 4 episodes of them saying, you know, we like the original trilogy, but we also like the prequel trilogy. Here's what we learned from both. Here's great things from both. I feel like when you get to an episode like Practical, they're not saying anything to be malicious. It's like, oh, I trust your opinion because you spent all these other episodes being like, okay, we just like Star Wars. We're not here to shame or make fun of anything else. And so I thought it was very smart of them to have it here. So I could be like, okay, so when you talk practical, I know you're not about to rip on the prequels because you just told me for the past few episodes that you like the prequels.
Right. Yeah. And that getting to have this advanced stuff is just like an advancement of George's vision. And so I was like, I'm right there with you. I think it was good to, it really does feel like you're getting to know them over time. Like I felt like starting with the director things at first was weird when they went from directing to legacy. Because then I was like, you know, we thought it was going to be like directing, writing, blah, blah, blah. And it's felt kind of all over the place, but really the directing was just so we could get to know them, and then legacy to get to know the goal of the show. And like with those two, like you were saying, as a foundation, it's felt really nice going through and knowing what they're into. And then of course there's just Dave, who's just sitting there like, I secretly know everything, but I'm just gonna be quiet until I give a monologue.
Which is another thing that the technology episode and this episode, is because like I love hearing what John has to say. But once again, it feels really great whenever he like interjected things. I was just like, well, wait, keep talking, John.
Yeah,
I love this.
Now you're interjecting with things that are relevant to you.
Mhm.
Even when he was talking about the babies, like, I did a VR game with these gnomes, and I'm like, John, why are we talking about your VR game with the gnomes? And I'm like, oh, okay, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yes. And then once, go ahead. I was gonna say that he's also building off the point that you made before, which is like, why did they pick Jon Favreau? Oh yeah, this is why they picked Jon Favreau.
Right, because like his whole career has been building towards the technology they wanted to use on this show, and then probably the shows to come. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it was the same thing where I kept noticing, I'm like, oh, you're still talking a lot. My favorite is when he'll sit there and he'll be like, hey, you have this story that does this and this and this and this. Why don't you tell that story? And I'm like, okay, calm
down. It makes me think that, and I mean like in the nicest, most teasing way possible, but it makes me think that when stuff happened on set, he was like, you, file this away. Remember it for when we do the Disney gallery. What's happening? You're telling the story. And then when they get like around the round table to talk, he's like, you remember the story, right? You remember?
This is jumping ahead because I think it was in the Pre Viz episode and not the practical one. But I like when he talked about how they wanted to treat each episode like a reshoot on a superhero movie. And like he was talking about Iron Man, and then all of a sudden Taika was like, yeah, on Thor. He's like, excuse me, sir. I too worked on a superhero movie.
For a second. Actually shaming, but I was like, I want them to talk about both because they've both done this and then it happened.
You just said a point that I could tell was very passionate because I could see you, but your audio cut out. And so it looked really amazing, and I'm sure I agree with it, but I couldn't hear a word of
it. I was just saying, I couldn't remember if we had said it like during an actual stream or just the two of us, but since John was talking so much about Iron Man, I wanted like them to have that Marvel conversation because he did Thor.
Yeah.
And then I was like, where is it? And then when Taika was like, and then Thor, I was like, yes, it's happening.
And then everyone else was kind of like, superheroes, yes, I've seen those.
We're doing oh my goodness. Okay, this has nothing to do with the Mandalorian or Spirit. Well, it kind of has, but Iron Man always hits the superhero like land pose. And today on Twitter, I saw a picture of squirrels also hitting the pose, and so now that's just squirrels hitting the superhero pose. Okay,
hey, Skynobi, welcome. Yeah, John always talks with the Lion King and Iron Man, always. Also, Skynobi, I am not quite your mastery of graphic design, but this was my attempt at graphic design. I hope you appreciate it. As I slowly each week have been mutilating his hard work by just chopping it into pieces and changing it, and I feel bad because I still give him credit in the description, even though it doesn't even look like his nice stuff anymore. It just looks like my 5 minutes on PowerPoint adapting.
I feel like one thing me and my sisters have been talking about with the Disney classic remakes, because we like some of them, but also we're just like, stop ruining our childhood by remaking all the Disney movies. Like we want to go see them, like they're fine, but we're just like, can you stop? And so my sister, who is ever the cynic, is always just like, well, they just want to keep the copyright. That's why they keep remaking things so they can keep the
like Fantastic
Four. But honestly. Yeah, but I've been thinking about it, and every single time John goes back to say, and we were trying this with Lion King, and we wanted to do this with Lion King. So now I'm just like, okay, so you want to make money, Disney, which I can't fault you for. You want to keep the copyright, also can't fault you for.
Right.
You also just want to do this so that you can try new technology and see if it works. Because now every single time he brings up Lion King and building, I'm just like, did Disney just want to try some new technology? And they were like, go for it let's just make the Lion King.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because then you can try out new technology. You can effectively do an experimental film that you know won't crash and burn at the box office, even if it doesn't.
Because no matter what, we're going to see The Lion King. At least to see if it's good.
I mean, that I did. I like Jungle
did.
Book better, but like I saw it. But
Yeah.
Also, welcome to Cal and Sarge, fresh from Twitter jail.
Hello.
Sarge was caught up in the great K-pop purge.
Whole thing.
That's a really inside joke if people follow the internet, but that's okay. But yes, no, that's, I mean, a lot of it is just starting to make sense, and I think we say that again every week, where it's like, oh, these decisions where we're like, sure, but why? I'm like, oh,
because I like to joke that Disney
cut your
wallet.
mic there. Disney cut you. Oh. Literally, like, I like to joke that Disney, and then I heard wallet. And it was just appropriate. I mean, really, Disney wallet. I mean, that's my life.
Oh my goodness, Michael Mouse. Whenever he's coming for you, my friends call it coming for me. I was gonna say, I called Disney an evil corporate overlord, which is probably why they did that.
Why they cut your mic, yes.
But I also said it's okay because they have me by both the heart and the wallet. So I'm still going to pay Disney to do things, even if I think this. So don't cut me off, Disney. I love you. But I say all those things in jest. And yet hearing these like discussions about how like John builds up things, I'm just like, oh no, it's real. They're just doing this so that they can learn how to do this and this. Especially, oh my goodness, I don't remember if it was which one it was in, but just Deborah Chow talking about how normally you have 7 to 8 days to figure out how to do something.
I think it was the Pre Viz one, yeah.
Yeah, and now she's got like they're blogging everything for 2 months, and I'm just like, oh, you're invested in this. You want to do this right.
Yeah, well, and like TV schedules are just wild compared to movies too. But I mean, if we want to jump ahead, that Pre Viz one was just really interesting because they kept talking about how, like, usually you would only use Pre Viz for very specific scenes that are harder to explain on script. But they had to Pre Viz everything because of the volume, because they had to make that background. And I really liked, I think it was Favreau who said it forces you to commit early and fail early. And I thought that was a really cool quote. It's like, oh, you can see how this won't work really early on. But that was interesting to hear about.
Oh, no, I really appreciate it because it's like, yeah, you want to see what works, what doesn't. And the other thing I feel like there's this, especially with this idea that people want to be like, oh, George planned everything from the beginning. Or did George, plan everything from the beginning? And so I think there's this coolness and the ability to say, okay, we know everything that we want to do. We have this whole plan so everything flows. But also we can add things here, plenty of good things have come out of, okay, we had to scrap this whole entire thing. Let's go ahead and do this. And I feel like this really gave them a chance to be like, okay, we planned everything that we could, and we want this to look really, really great. But also, if this extra magic happens, this extra magic happens.
And just like what they had to do too with like coming up with the ship, and I think it was in Practical where they talked about the IG model that they had. They were going to just use for lighting reference, and then they ended up using him in the show because he had like that awkward back and forth, and I thought that was really cool. Cal says, we all know Solo was an utter cinematic failure in every possible way because a few people did not like it. I'm like, I mean, yeah, obviously. Mostly because no one went to see it because they didn't advertise it. That's my whole issue.
I will forever think that is the weirdest thing. Let me tell you how Solo is bad. Okay, because for like 3 weeks, it was my favorite Star Wars movie, and it's got my ultimate nemesis, Woody Harrelson, in it.
Yeah,
I'm willing to say that the movie starring my nemesis is a good Star Wars movie. It's a good Star Wars movie.
What kept astounding me is I would ask people, "Hey, did you go see Solo?" And they were like, "I didn't know it was out." And I'm like, that should never be the answer to a Star Wars movie.
Never. Oh my goodness, never.
And like everyone is just this is nothing to do with The Mandalorian, but this is something I feel very passionate about. where like all these people are very convinced that Solo is bad, and so they didn't go see it. But what really happened was like 10 people saw Solo, and so no one knew if it was bad or not because they didn't watch it. The number when it went on Netflix, the number of people who texted me, they're like, "Hey, I watched Solo and it wasn't bad." I was like, throwing my phone, like, I believe that.
So many people were just like on once it was on DVD.
Yeah.
They were like, Gina, I actually really, really like this movie. I was like, of course you do, because it's a good movie. Welcome to the club now. I'm glad you're in the club now.
Like, just because Infinity War and Deadpool came out at the same time and you didn't go see it doesn't mean it was a bad movie.
Oh my goodness. And everything, okay, this is also not about everything about that movie. Things just work. So you had Donald Glover as Lando. I want more Donald Glover as Lando.
We're like, I don't know that we deserve it, but like, I really want it.
Oh,
for sure, Donald deserves to play Lando again. So at least for his sake, let it happen.
Like Star Wars was lucky he said yes, and that man is so busy.
Right?
Catch him when you can. Now I'm gonna watch Solo.
But I mean, like, to fill in like Billy D. Williams' shoes and not to just like do a caricature or like an impression, because that would be the hardest part. Because like, who else is Billy D? And then it just worked. It's funny because one of my friends is in love with Alden specifically, but with Han, and so we'll just like text about Solo, but like he's really into Han and I'm really into Lando. And I'm like, this way we don't have to fight.
I love Alden as Han. I mean, that's what made me really care about Han. But I mean, which Harrison Ford is great, but like I was like, Alden, hello, you're Han Solo, yes.
Hello, Caleb. So welcome to our Solo discussion during the Mandalorian stream, and also welcome to Roberto and the father and son. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Make Solo 2 happen. That's the thesis point of this stream about the Mandalorian.
We are, look, we're on topic as we ever are. So it's fine.
Honestly, okay, so when they were going through, I love like one of my favorite things ever to happen in like when I found out how movies are made and stuff.
Yeah.
And so seeing storyboards for The Mandalorian, I was watching this and I was like, oh, this feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. I would watch this. Give me a Solo cartoon. Give me Solo anything. Give me a series on Disney Plus. Just give me it all.
It'd be so much easier too, because like then you could keep the cast, because then they can just record their voice wherever they are in their busy lives.
Yeah.
Also, second of all, like if you're gonna have Donald Glover, I mean, I guess we had Billy D before, we still didn't get this, but like this is twice now. Like Lando should be able to sing canonically.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying we haven't had that yet, and in my opinion, canonically, he's one of the best singers in the Star Wars universe, and we've never heard it. So,
make Solo 2 happen. I have like so many dreams.
Oh man. Okay, so anyway, no, if you ever want to derail me on a stream, getting me to talk about Solo is one of the fastest ways I'll do it, because like I am a little bit of a Disney shill. Like they're about as trustworthy as any corporation, so like whatever. But the one thing where I get mad is really the Disney, like whoever's in charge of their marketing at Disney, I think needs to look at their life choices, and consider who they are as a person. And that's really how I feel whenever I talk about Solo.
I feel that actually, I do feel that deep in my soul, especially, if we want to make this about the Mandalorian, I think about how a lot of us thought the Mandalorian, I feel like was going to be about one thing, and then it ended up being completely different, and it was good.
It was about my son, specifically.
Yes. And then also that idea of us, like, not knowing it was about Baby Yoda, and then Baby Yoda being such a secret, and then, like, now we just, like, know everyone who's going to be in season 2 of The Mandalorian. The marketing over at Lucasfilm, but also at Disney, I
Yeah.
don't know exactly where that overlap is.
I
Marketing
don't
is
either.
quite odd.
They've made some interesting choices. They really have. Oh wait, I thought you were talking about the Mandalorian. Ah, that's a good one. I like that. That's a way to make it relevant. Man,
Because we certainly will not.
oh my gosh. But no, I'm looking forward to all of the promotional material for season 2 because you just know it will be Baby Yoda, Baby
Yoda. What is Baby Yoda doing? Is that the planet full of Yodas in passing?
I need the planet of Yodas. Damn it. I should, even though I'm on a Twitter hiatus, I should just log on every day and just tweet at Taika, Planet of Yoda, because that's the only important thing to tweet about right now. I should just send him Planet of Yodas.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you know how there's those Twitter accounts that like, is it so and so's birthday or is it a Thursday or whatever? Just make a Twitter account that just automatically tweets
Taika specifically, Planet of Yodas. I might steal that. That sounds amazing. Just every day, it's a bot that says "Planet of Yodas?" ? And then it just tweets Taika every day. And if he blocks it, then I'll know it's happening. Is what that means.
And then when we actually get the Planet of Yodas, alter it so then it turns into exclamation point. Planet of Yodas.
I feel like Taika's just into wacky enough things where he might actually appreciate it, though. I just feel like I don't know what this bot is, but it tweets me every day asking about a Planet of Yodas.
I mean, when you have thousands of followers, your mentions must be terrible. So he's probably used to it. That sounds like really bad. It sounds like I'm like telling people to go harass fans. Well, it's not true. Don't bother paying these people. Well, don't bother anyone, actually.
No, just leave people alone. But like, if it's something that might maybe bring a smile to the face, plus he can always block it and confirm that that's what he's doing, which is how I will take it.
And then later he'll give an interview and he'll be like, I couldn't talk about this for legal reasons and because I couldn't steal someone's idea, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Planet of Yodas. It reminds me of Friday was National Donut Day here in the US, which is a very important holiday that everyone should take seriously. So I took a picture of the news saying it was National Donut Day, and with no context to the image, texted the image to my boss, and then my boss came into work with donuts for everyone.
So, I love that.
So he got the text, he got the picture, and completely understood the question. And anyway, that's what I want to bring to asking Taika about the Planet of Yodas.
Sometimes you just have to gently push someone in the correct direction. They may not know about it yet, but we're helping you.
I'm just waiting for like 2022 Taika Waititi's Planet of Yodas.
But also, okay, so this sort of comes from something, I think maybe Taika said it actually, where he was talking about A New Hope, and he was like, oh, you just plopped in this world with 3PO and R2. Yep. We have like they've obviously lived this whole life, but we don't know about it. And so that is one of the things that super works for The Mandalorian, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Continue that idea into the Planet of Yodas. Do not give me a lot of explanation. I just want to see things. I want to be like, that's weird, but I love it. Let's keep going.
It's a planet
do not give me explanation.
full of Yodas. That is all the explanation you need. It's the planet of Yodas. Like, why are they doing that? I don't know. They're Yodas.
That's just what Yodas do.
That's what they do. And then, how awkward would it be if it turned out Yoda was the name of the species, and like everybody has just been calling Yoda that, and really he's like, Brian, my name is, and and like no one ever knew, and he's just spent 900 years being called like human.
Oh my gosh, that was okay.
It would explain why he's so moody. I'm just
saying. There's an Instagram page, which is amazing. I implore everyone to go check it out. And it's called Tubby Nugget.
Oh no.
And it's about this planet of nuggets. And it's like the cutest thing in the world. And except like the main character doesn't live on the planet of Nuggets anymore. He's been adopted and he lives on Earth, and everyone calls him Tubby Nugget. And then you find out that everyone on the planet is also called Tubby Nugget. So that reminds me. So he literally is like how he is. So I'm already into the idea.
Look, Taika, if you need someone to help you write Planet of Yodas, Dope Tuna is available.
Wait, we have now started a called Dope Tuna.
Yes, we have.
We will finance this project with what money?
You know, we'll find some.
I just think of every single time I was little. This has nothing to do with the Mandalorian. And I wanted McDonald's or something for dinner, and Dad, can I have McDonald's? And they'd be like, you have McDonald's money? And I would be like, no. Just be like, do you have Dope Tuna money? Oh.
When I was little and I like got my first computer that had editing software on it, and I was like, this is neat. And then like all people who edit for the first time, I put a transition in between every shot because I thought that's how editing works. And if you have ever edited something and claimed you didn't do that, I think you're lying. And anyway, I had a production company name, and it was Random Cow.
Was this a random name?
Random Cow Production. This one time I was driving down the road, and there was this one cow. And I was like, well, that's a really random cow. And I was like, that's a good name. I should name something Random Cow.
I love the Midwest.
Only in the Midwest.
The Midwest is a treasure.
We're a special breed of people. We really are.
Honestly, anytime I'm traveling in the Midwest, cow, animal, cow. Oh, this is definitely not about the Mandalorian anymore. It's about Midwest life.
Cal says the planet of Yodas is in retrograde, just like Yoda's speech pattern. I think that's good. I think it should just always be in retrograde. And thank you, as father and son, for thinking we're hilarious. I'm glad somebody does.
Right?
This is some high quality.
I'm never funny on purpose. If you ask me to just be funny, I'll get nothing but awkwardness.
It's the best kind of funny. I was watching an interview once about Men in Black, which also has nothing to do with The Mandalorian. But apparently Tommy Lee Jones did not realize his character was funny in the movie. He thought he was just playing the character straight. And then he watched the movie later and he was like, oh, I was supposed to be funny. And sometimes I think about that.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. I want you to know that I have only ever seen Men in Black International. Oh, I have never seen any other Men in Black
film. That is the only Men in Black I haven't seen. So between the two of us, we make a whole.
And I'm going to be honest, I like Tommy Lee Jones and I like Smith, but I only saw Men in Black International for Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth.
I mean, I kind of wanted to see it just for the two of them, and I just didn't get around to it. But like, more movies with the two of them, really.
Yeah, because they're great. Put them in Star Wars. Put them in a planet full of Yodas. I'll take it.
Yes, they can both be Yodas.
But it was so funny because afterwards, because my dad liked it. He's a Black, fan. And afterwards he goes, Gina, how'd you like it? And I was like, it was awful. I want to see it again. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? If it was awful, why would you want to see it again? And I was like, I don't think you understand. That's the point. I loved that it was awful. Take me to see it again.
That's why I think, it's actually over there now. I used to have it next to me, but I moved it over there. I have the 6-movie set of the Sharknado films on Blu-ray in a steelbook collector's case.
Oh my god.
I take my love of the Sharknado movies very seriously.
As you should.
I have live tweeted them before and somehow still have followers. I don't know how that happens.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Oh.
Mandalorian. Okay.
The Mandalorian's a thing.
This exists. It's a show that we're talking about. Okay, so in practical, I liked when they were talking about Quill And we
Yes.
had the actress's name. I knew I wouldn't remember because I never remember anyone's name. Misty Rosa.
Yep.
And like the puppeteers. What I didn't realize was that the dialogue was recorded beforehand and it was said on set. That really surprised me.
Yeah, I didn't realize, especially when she said what Nick 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
and I just had absolutely no idea. Which is one reason why I am particularly happy to have this, especially name. And I especially started feeling this way after we found out the stunt doubles for The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because to me, when I found out that Nick Nolte was this character, I was like, oh, that's dope. It's Nick Nolte's character.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, it's not just Nick Nolte. It's like Misty and like so many people.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate that, one, I get a glimpse of how this happens, because like seeing everything that they have to go through and moving it, I was like, well, I kind of see why you have to like get everything kind of squared away in advance, because there's like so many moving parts to this
going on. Yeah.
But also it's so that you can see that everyone helped bring this character to life.
Yeah. No, for sure. One of these days I would love to see I used to only think about this about like motion capture characters, but seeing what they did with Queel kind of makes me think you could do it either way. But like some kind of performance award for characters that are really like combination acting. Like you have the performer, but then the performer is dependent on, be it an animator or a puppeteer, some form of artist who is making the rest of it. Because I feel like that, I mean, that's hard, and that's what the one guy was saying, was just like you have to be a special kind of performer, because you have like servos going off in your head while you're trying to play this character, and you can't see anything, and the puppeteers don't know what you're trying to do, and you have to like gesture, you know, if I hold up 3 fingers, then that means play this line. And I don't know, it's just interesting to see one character be so many people.
I mean, and anyone can correct me. I really started paying attention with Mad Max, because Tom Hardy would actually bring his stunt double Jacob like on the press tour and everything, and he'd be like, okay, ask Jacob some questions. He's just as much Max as I am. And in fact, he's basically Tom Hardy's like stunt double for everything. So anytime he does things, he's like, okay, also ask, Jacob. And so I feel like, and that was 2015. So I feel like maybe I've just noticed, or maybe it's a thing now, but I feel like a lot of productions have started being like, okay, the face you see is the character, and they're fantastic, and that's great.
Yeah.
But also here's all the other people that also do this, and that amount of recognition is just something that makes me like incredibly happy, and something I didn't know that I needed or wanted.
Right. Well, because there's so many people we don't hear about that are so integral, and I think what they're finding out too is more people are actually interested in that. You know, it's not just the name we might know, that it's cool to know that this other when the character becomes beloved, then you start caring about who made the character, you know, even though you need the name to kind of bring somebody in. So I thought that was a really cool process.
Which also, I don't remember exactly what the article was. I saw it in passing before I also went on my Twitter hiatus. But it was something about The Mandalorian and the Emmys wanting to change their rules so that things in The Mandalorian could be nominated, which, yes, please do. I would like this to be an Emmy award-winning show. But and I think if COVID-19 has taught us anything with how they've had to revamp how the Oscars and the Grammys and the Tonys and all that are going to go, it's that you can definitely change the categories so that we can have some of these other individuals recognized for their work.
For sure. Like, it's just because everything's changing. And like, I've been saying this for a while, just, I mean, with Gollum in Lord of the Rings, like that was such an achievement in such a character. And like Andy Serkis has played all of these amazing motion capture characters, and it just doesn't get the same kind of recognition, even though it's a lot of work to, I mean, you're hobbling around in like a leotard with dots all over you and like having to take yourself seriously. and like, I don't think people really appreciate that enough, but I don't know. Another thing I thought
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was saying another thing I thought was interesting was at one point Deborah was talking, and they were just showing video of her on the set working with Queel, but the shot they showed was Queel finding IG-11 after the fact. So if she was directing that, I was always curious when the flashback scenes were shot, right? Because the first scene with the bunker was Filoni because it was the first episode. So I wondered, like, did Filoni actually shoot those bits and then used it, or did they go back to the bunker and Chow did that? Would Chow have been around for Filoni's episode? You know, and and this episode didn't give us those answers, but I just think that's interesting. Or just the Mandalorian flashbacks, because we see that fully in Taika's episode, but we get cut to it throughout the season. So it was Taika directing all of it, or I don't know. That's the kind of thing I wonder, and I would love to get an answer to someday.
I wondered now too, now that you've posed it, and until we get like a solid concrete answer, I'm gonna assume that it's a mix of both, or all of them, especially with, you know, having something like the volume, having all this cutting edge technology that even if it's not your episode, you might like just kind of want to be on set for. But also, and I think this kind of goes back to why you maybe start with directing and establish who your directors are and the relationship that they have. And we've mentioned it before. I think we even like, do they even have a group chat? You know, are they like, I'm dealing with this, what are you dealing with? To the point that, like, yeah, when it's your time to be on set, you're directing things. Some of it might be used as flashback for later, but I could also fully see it being hey, I'm on set. This is my episode. You're going to deal with this, or you've dealt with this. Do you want to come? Or what do you think very much?
Right. No, I love that kind of thought, and I love seeing that bond that they all have. Welcome to Star Wars Nerdiness and Mr. Rez. Happy to see you both here. Nerdiness says hope season 2 includes more stuff from the Skywalker saga. Currently, season 2 seems to include everything. So I think that will probably happen. And do we think Filoni should direct a movie? Speaking of director unity, I mean, certainly an animated film. I hope that we get some animated films down the road. I think that would be a good way to fill in some gaps and kind of see some stuff. Filoni, I don't know if he would want to.
Yeah, I feel, well, because I think back to when he was talking about things faster than this, and some of his talents and the way that he works with things very much, I think, came more in handy than he initially thought might have with the live action thing.
Right.
But I don't know. I think there's a difference between, oh, I can do this and I have done this and it was rewarding in this way and I want to do this. I mean, if he did, I wouldn't be mad and I'd watch it because I watch most anything with Star Wars in the title.
And Filoni's earned his, you know, his stripes, as it were.
And it's not like I know him.
Right.
But honestly, if someone was like, okay, but what's your gut answer? My gut answer would be like, does he want to?
Yeah, that was my thing.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's where I'm like, I really like him in the animation. Like, I just feel like him kind of overseeing animated shows is really where his talents are, unless he wanted to. And I don't want to say like no, but
plus I mean, I very much trust his vision and I trust what he knows and his ability. So I know that if he directs a movie, I'm going to get a good story that I like more than just for it being Star Wars. But I also, at this point, am like, but I've had a lot of things from Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I had known who Taika was because of Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Before The Mandalorian, but I didn't know who Rick was. I didn't know who Deborah was.
Same.
And so, I mean, they listed the shows and the movies that they've worked on. So I'm sure like plenty of other people knew who they were. And I'm glad it was just me being introduced.
Right.
But I mean, it introduced me to someone new. And so I almost wish that like as we continue on making Star Wars things, we just continue to introduce us. Like yes, continue to use people. Like, I'm happy Deborah's doing Kenobi and all those things, but also at the same time, inject new people. So I almost don't want him to, but I'd watch it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same there. And like I feel like when we were talking about how like earlier it makes sense to bring Favreau in based off of what we're seeing with Jungle Book and Lion King, it makes sense why they're bringing in Filoni, and more than just he made Clone Wars and Rebels and those were good shows. It's, you know, his knowledge of animation helped them with pre-vizing so much. Like he was talking about, like, oh guys, they're pre-vizing like we do, and even with the volume. And so even though yes, he directed 2 episodes, what you were talking about, where all the directors are kind of like hanging out with each other and helping each other, he brought in this perspective. Not only was he learning live action, but he was teaching animation to live action directors, and that was really helpful. And so I would just be really curious now that he's done live action, how much does he feel like he would want to do it on his own?
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm kind of cool with him just having this overarching like influence, because like I'm a big Resistance fan, and Filoni was involved with Star Wars Resistance, but not as heavily as he was Clone Wars or Rebels. Largely probably because he was working on Mando to some degree, I would assume, and whatever this next show will be, because I'm sure we'll get another animated show eventually. But like Resistance was really good, but he was involved. He was in like the making ofs on it, but it wasn't like his baby. And I trust Filoni to understand Star Wars and to guide people making Star Wars, but to have him in kind of this like Papa Smurf role. I haven't seen the Smurf, so I don't actually know if that comparison works, but it's what came to mind. And I was in the 90s, my mom thought they were evil. It was a whole thing. Anyway, I haven't seen the Smurfs.
It's a good show, though. It is.
But anyway, he's in this Papa Smurf role, and like see him like guide new talent to like, we know you can tell stories. I can help you turn those stories into Star Wars while keeping them your own stories. And I think that would be a really cool role for him going forward.
And just like we had to interject.
Hold on. Disney, cut your mic again.
No, I'm saying good things, Disney. I'm propelling your propaganda, Disney. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Are we good? Yep. Okay. Just like I had to say, make Solo 2 happen.
Yep.
Say that the end of Resistance was great, but we deserve more Resistance. I mean, do we? No, but do I want it?
We don't, but we should have. Well, and like I wasn't slamming because I really liked the end of Resistance too, but like I want those characters again.
I want more Resistance.
Say, what other random thoughts can come out of Jess? Oh wait,
Smurfs. Okay, so I'm not normally on this site because I'm friends with a bunch of people who are like old.
Yeah.
And everyone's always like, Gina, why have you never seen The Breakfast Club and or Rocky? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not interested in. So it's nice to be on the other side and just be like, you've never seen Smurfs. It's weird being on the other side. But yeah, it's a good show.
I know the song.
Oh my gosh.
When we run out of Mando episodes, we'll just keep doing these, and we just won't come up with a topic ahead of time, and it'll be like normal.
Okay, wait, so this is random. This is super random, because I don't even think Disney owns the Smurfs. Okay. When I logged into Disney Plus so that I could, this also has nothing to do. When I
should be a drinking game at this point.
Oh my goodness, please, everyone take shots of water. Stay hydrated. It's really hot outside.
Drink your water.
When I logged on to Disney Plus in order to watch the gallery, I saw that Schoolhouse Rock is on there, and I didn't know Disney owns Schoolhouse Rock. Like, so have you seen Schoolhouse Rock?
I've seen some of Schoolhouse Rock. I've not seen all of it, but I have seen some.
My mom bought like a DVD of all of them, and that's straight up watch it at some point.
It's good stuff. I recently
Okay,
rewatched George of the Jungle with my mom.
that's a good show.
It's a good. Well, I mean the movie with Brendan Fraser.
That's also a good
It's
movie.
a good movie.
Now I want to rewatch Georgia.
I watched the movie. It's the first time I've watched it in years, and I was watching it,
Mhm.
and I'm like, suddenly my sense of humor makes so much more sense.
I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but Shrek 2 was trending, and everyone was talking about how it's the best Shrek movie and everything. And I started going through all like the gifs and like the videos, and I
Yeah.
was like, suddenly my humor makes sense because I really did love this movie. I straight up have like a 15-year-old boy's humor,
That's fair.
like a teenage boy's humor is my everything makes sense.
I don't even know what my humor is. Like, I don't think I could. It's just whatever George of the Jungle is, I think.
Do you know what this is?
Hmm.
Oh, you froze, so I
Oh
don't know if you
no,
can hear me, but
I can hear you.
do you know what this is? Okay, our humor. This right now is our pitch for why people fund dope tuna and let us make things. It's like, do you want something with the humor, the cross humor of George of the Jungle and Shrek 2?
Get dope tuna.
Oh, that makes you guys want to let us make things, right?
I mean, when you hear the name Dope Tuna, you think that's a company I want to invest in. I mean, it's tuna and dope.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I remember when I was really little, be in plays and things, and I don't remember the name of the brand, but it had that whale thing or whatever on it. And it
Yeah.
was like packets of tuna, and we just get crackers and we just eat tuna. I haven't had tuna in a while.
Tuna's good. I'm really so my family if you anything you would anything a normal person would use mayonnaise for, I use ranch. Speaking of being from the Midwest.
Yeah.
And so I do that, but then also for some weird reason everyone thinks I'm crazy. I think I'm crazy. I understand this is disgusting and I do it anyway. Um but I also put hot sauce in my
Wait, hot sauce on what?
tuna, like tuna made with ranch. I also add hot sauce.
Wait. I've never done that before, but that sounds normal. That might be my inner.
I
That
like
sounds
it.
normal.
I like it.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Okay, kind of want to try that.
Okay, report back. Dope tuna sounds like canned tuna laced with edible cannabis. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, pal. Welcome, trending videos. How's it going?
So I can't eat ranch anymore because I'm lactose intolerant. My sister
Gotcha.
thinks I have a milk allergy. But I remember my friend was like, I want to make a grilled cheese. And I was like, make a grilled cheese, but add tomato to it, add bacon, and dip it in ranch.
Yeah.
And my friend has been in the Midwest her entire life. And she was like, dip it in ranch. And I was like, you're a bad Midwestern
Yeah.
person.
If
You dip
you
your
have,
pizza in ranch.
yes, you
Dip your
do.
you dip your cheese sandwich. You dip everything in ranch.
Dip everything in ranch.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
But
my.
now I can't have ranch, so it's sad. But I used to dip everything in ranch.
But I mean, this is the way.
This is the way. Oh, I have something. As soon as I wanted to know your opinion.
Oh, okay.
When was it? Let's see. Let me consult the few notes that I did take.
Okay.
In Practical, whenever they were talking about how they were trying to get the Baby Yoda, and they had all the drawings. This is too cute. This is too ugly. This proportions is weird.
I loved all
How
of
did-
them. Every single one. I loved all of them. Even the one really ugly one, I still loved it.
I was about to say, how did you feel seeing the evolution of your
I mean,
son?
there's the one, and I love him too because I'm his mother. But really, I mean, they were all pretty cute. I was like, oh.
Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry. I love that. I love your reaction. It's the best thing. Okay, so also, my mom and I watched the Flintstones together.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the name of the episode or what the name of the woman was, but she used to have this thing where she'd be like, stupid good lookings. And so now every single time me and my mom think something is cute, we're just like, oh, it's stupid. And so when you were like, when people are like, he's ugly, but I love him, I just be like, oh, he's stupid.
Funny. I think I really liked the part where Werner Herzog was like talking about the puppet, and he was like, it's heartbreakingly beautiful, and I'm like, that's why I wept.
Yeah.
Like Werner, he and I understand each other. Like, heart, because my heart was broken that he wasn't real, and that I will never experience that in my life. And so
at everyone who said that if you're staged, everyone's like, oh, he's the baby. I fully believe that. With my whole entire heart,
Yeah.
I would not focus at all if he was in the room. I would just be like, I would like to hold the baby. Let me hold the baby.
I like how both the other Gina and Pedro were like, yeah, no, we're not gonna outact that thing.
As long as you know first, you're fine.
Yeah, just like so here's the synopsis for this episode. We talk about the Mandalorian, and Solo, and the Smurfs, then Breakfast Club and Rocky, and Shrek and George of the Jungle. This is the way. Wait, don't forget the ranch dressing and the Yoda.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a normal episode.
That sounds like
sounds like some pretty dope tuna.
That's our brand.
So where above us, where there's the thumbs up, I was gonna put a catchphrase because the joke was, "Do you want some dope tuna?" And so I was gonna say, "Dope tuna, do you want some?" And then I was like, "No." It's not gonna say that. And then I just put a thumbs up.
The laugh that you just saw was that teenage boy humor there with that line. Really, I promise you guys, I'm not always immature.
It's like, that's not an appropriate catchphrase for our viewer base. If I was on my Yoda Power account, yes. If I'm on Porthaven, no.
Oh my goodness. My parents, I'm pretty sure my parents and my like super like the utmost grade professional thing in the world. And if only they knew what I actually about, I'd be like, Gina.
Oh god. I think it looks like so like I think we pretty much hit all of my comments, but to be fair, most of my comments were like I was taking good notes, and then we got to the part with my son, and then I stopped paying attention. So
I as soon as when I was watching it this I just want Jess to just
this is
son.
Just my son. It was just everyone was talking about how wonderful my son is, and I'm like, yes, I know, I am his mother. And I liked too. There was the one guy who was like, no matter how good the puppet looks, it doesn't work without the performance. And I mean that's true too, because like it can just sit there, but like you have to get the movements right. It was just I liked how everyone would be like, yeah, sometimes the puppeteers would just kind of turn his head and be like, ah.
Yeah, I've been about it since last listening to Ryan talk about Yoda and having that done well and done right because of the way Ryan talked about Yoda in the last I forgot the name of Star Wars movies for a second. Empire Strikes Back.
No one's heard of the Empire Strikes Back. It's fine.
It's like the one I watched the least. I was like, what is the name?
It's the one I watched the least too. Don't tell anybody. I'm a really bad Yoda stan.
But also, like seeing interviews and quotes of people going back and talking about what makes Yoda work so well in that film.
Yeah.
So because that's been recent, I feel like I've been thinking about it a lot with Baby Yoda and just like everything that comes together in order to make it believable. Because I don't know, sometimes I just see people who make their own Yodas and whatnot, and I'm just like, what is happening? No.
It is something. I mean, I appreciated when Favreau was like, we all knew what a bad one would look like.
Yeah.
Is Empire Strikes Back the really old movie Spider-Man represents the Civil War? Yes, it is. Have you guys seen this really old movie, The Empire Strikes Back? Tony, who is this kid?
Oh my god. Oh my goodness. You know, I felt it hurt in my heart a little bit when I called it old, and I was like, no.
When I heard that line, I went like, Peter Parker doesn't know The Empire Strikes Back. It's like in the
honestly.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh well, I was just gonna say. Okay, so my sisters tried to explain it away, but that's my nitpicks with things like different directors and things, because I secretly think depending on the films they write Peter differently.
Yeah.
So this is like a small soapbox, but it has to, because when you get like Far From Home and Homecoming, you know, they write Peter one way, and when you see him for the other Avengers, because the way he was building that Lego Death Star in Homecoming, I guarantee you he knows the name of Empire Strikes Back. But then my sisters were like, it was a heated moment. He might have forgotten the name. I too forgot the name, so I guess it's possible. I
try to explain it as if he thinks they wouldn't know the name.
I guess that's okay.
But like, it's still kind of funny to me. But it makes me think of the middle Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the first one, and Peter Parker was using Bing, and I was like, Sony, Peter Parker doesn't use Bing. And I just laughed so hard. I was like, yes, I fully believe that Peter Parker, super nerd, is sitting there using Bing. The only reason why I use Bing is because my freaking Windows 10 thing defaults it to it, and I don't understand how Windows works, because I've only had a Windows machine for a couple of months, and I like the computer, but I don't like Windows, and I can't figure out how to change it to Google.
Yeah.
And it makes me angry. So unless Peter Parker also cannot figure out how to change his browser, including Chrome, to Google,
and I guarantee you he knows.
He knows.
Sony is so hilarious to me, because I do reminds me, they come out with the name of their universe, and it's like, what? Okay, hold on. It's called Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Characters, and I just
that is the most spreadsheet name I've ever heard in my life.
And I can't yell at Sony because they gave me Venom, and I really like Venom. Also, what are you doing, Sony? You give me Bing, and you give me Sony Pictures characters. Oh my! Unless you're my mom. My mom does not like Google, and she uses DuckDuckGo, and so my mom would probably use Bing.
I can see like I can check YouTube analytics, which I don't, because I'm much healthier mentally that way. But like when I used to look at them, I could see like where things are coming, and we had some traffic from DuckDuckGo, and I always just, every time I look at that, I'm like, that's funny. And I also like, isn't the point of DuckDuckGo that no one knows you're using it, and yet YouTube is telling me that you're using DuckDuckGo?
So I don't think it actually works. Plus, I figure Google has enough of
Google just knows. Going. Like, you can fight it if you want, but like,
yeah,
you know.
Wow. I mean, now I don't have weird ads. I have ads that creepily know what I'm into, but at least it's things that I'm into.
I get ads on my own playback, which is kind of annoying. So like, I have our stream playing back so I can keep an eye on it. And whenever I start a stream now, I get an ad in my playback window. I'm not even like on youtube.com. I'm in YouTube Studio, and I get an ad, and I'm like, this whole monetization thing was for not me.
Oh my gosh.
But I get an ad, and I think YouTube's broke, because last night I was watching a video and I got 3 ads in rapid fire, and all of them was like, do you want to take this survey? And I got 3 of those, and I was like, I think YouTube is just broken.
YouTube, go home, you're drunk. It's okay. YouTube, you're drunk.
It's okay, YouTube. You don't have to try that hard.
Oh my goodness, Ad just randomly talking about YouTube. Mandalorian.
Anybody who's a regular at these streams at this point understands. I did find it odd, like, because I'm so used to Baby Yoda, and I understand that not everybody on set was probably calling it Baby Yoda, and they were using the child or whatever. But Bryce Dallas Howard just calling him Baby.
Yeah.
I was like, Baby?
That is the one part of marketing that I don't get, because for a while, so we got, everyone just calls him Baby Yoda, or they have their different pet names or names for him.
Yep.
And then I felt like the two shirts I got from like Star Wars Day was Mandalorian stuff, and they said the child, and then for a while everyone was like the child. Yeah. I was like, okay, we're pushing that, but I'm still gonna call him Baby Yoda. And then to hear her just be like, just baby, I'm just like, can we come up with one? I mean, the one like concise thing is Baby Yoda, obviously, but I'm just really surprised that she was referring to him that way when it's like, oh, it has to be the child and everything. And I'm just like, I would like to just know the behind the scenes of what Baby Yoda's real name is,
right,
and what we're referring to him as.
Brian Jr.
I forgot about that for a second, and then it clicked. Like, oh no. Wait, how are we spelling Brian? Like Brian or Bryan?
I imagined with a Y because Yoda.
Oh, that's a good point.
But like, I suppose either way. I don't even know why I went with Brian. I'm like,
it's a good solid name.
Brian, my name is.
Oh my gosh.
There's already been too much confusion with people thinking Yoda is actually baby. I have just given up on some people. Like, many of you have probably heard my soapbox about how I understand why Rogue One didn't have a crawl, but I will forever be mad that it didn't, because I've had to explain when the movie takes place to a lot of people.
Even with the end?
Yeah. I've talked to people who thought it was episode 8 and they were confused because like Finn and Rey weren't there.
But it ends with Leia and Hope. Okay.
And it has the Death Star, yes. And R2 and 3PO show up at one point in time. I've given up.
I see why.
One time my dad asked me, like, don't you like being the person that everyone asks Star Wars questions? And I went, not when does Rogue One take place? Then I don't like it.
I feel that. I'll always appreciate Rogue One for telling me the name of planets and things. And I actually appreciated that after The Rise of Skywalker, because like I didn't know that Kylo was on Mustafar. Like, could I have
ironically, Rogue One doesn't label Mustafar either.
Well, that was fine. I knew it then, but I didn't know it. But I think I was significantly more emotional at The Rise of Skywalker than I was at Rogue One. But I was just like, I need crawls and I need names of things. I'm a really bad Star Wars fan. It's really funny because my dad almost had a similar conversation with me.
Yeah.
But at one point, he was like, before we got any casting news, my dad was like, because Boba Fett is coming back in The Mandalorian. And I was like, oh, we're going to have this conversation. Okay, why? And he goes, well, he's alive. And I was like, he is now? My dad was like, yeah, there was a whole film. He pulled himself out. He did all these things. And I was like, can I see this film? My dad showed it. And I was like, that's a fan film with a very good idea and a good premise, but that's not canon. He could come back, but it's not canon right now. And my dad is someone who's like a big stickler for canon. He really likes it.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't something, it was like, it has to be official. But I was like, that's not official. And so my job is currently explaining like, oh, that's Legends. That's Disney. That's just not canon.
I had
that is my job for people.
One of my coworkers asked me who Carrie Fisher plays in The Last Jedi. And I said Princess Leia, and he was like, oh, so like an older version? I was like, yes. And I was like, didn't you see The Force Awakens? And he said, no. And I went, okay. And that was a conversation I had.
Why didn't they watch The Force Awakens?
I don't know. And then I found out that he apparently watched The Last Jedi before The Force Awakens. And I was like, well, that might explain why you were confused.
Yeah. That's such a wild order. Well, I guess people always have conversations about what watched. But normally it's like which trilogy to watch first. Not like
just start at like in the middle of one of them. And like I'm a big believer that if you are destined to like Star Wars, you'll like it no matter which one you watch. And then maybe you'll be confused, but you'll know like, well, this was confusing as heck, but it looks cool. I want to watch the other ones. Like if you say did watch Last Jedi first or something. But like there's a difference between that and I am going to jump in at a random place and then be annoyed that it does not make sense. I'm like, that one is on you.
Yeah, I remember I've done that twice. I don't remember what it happened recently too.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but when I was in 7th grade and I first got into Percy Jackson books, they didn't have Lightning Thief, so I just started with the Sea of Monsters.
Yeah.
So I just read all of Sea of Monsters, and then when I went back to Lightning Thief when the library had it, I was like, so no one's friends anymore? What's happening? And I let myself be confused because I chose to read them out of order, and then I read the rest of the series. I did that to myself. I acknowledge that.
I had when I was in high school, I had friends who were really into Narnia because this has a lot to do with the Mandalorian, and they talked me into reading the Narnia books because the Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe was about to come out, and so she handed me her set of Narnia books and told me to read them. And so I came back in having read the first book, and she was like, well, what do you think? And I started talking about it. She's like, well, which one did you read? And I'm like, well, I read the first one, Magician's Nephew. And then she got mad at me because I started with Magician's Nephew. And I was like, look, I don't know anything about this series, and the books you gave me have a 1 on Magician's Nephew, so I read that one. And she's like, well, yeah, but you know, they didn't, like, they're numbered chronologically, but you're not supposed to read them chronologically. How was I supposed to know that? I read the one that had a 1 on it, and she was just like affronted, and I'm like, you could have said, hey, I know it sounds weird, start with 2. And then I read the first 2 and I liked them, and I read the one that had a 3 on it, which was called A Horse and His Boy, which was one of the worst things I've ever read in my life, and I never went back to Narnia after that. And everyone was like, you needed to keep reading. And I'm like, it was a book about a horse and a boy. I was so bored. I didn't understand anything that was going on, and I didn't care. And they're like, well, like the next one's better. I'm like, then they shouldn't have had this. Well, you shouldn't have read that one next. You're supposed to. Then give me a book series that's numbered correctly. Stop getting mad at me for reading them in the order that the numbers are. And anyway, that's really my experience with the Narnia series. And I feel like I'm really missing out because I was not properly instructed on how to read
it. That's amazing. I remember when I was little, because you had the one with like the one everyone knows now with like James McAvoy and all that. But there's another version of the Narnia movies that's super campy and super old, and I don't remember anything about it, but I have like this distinct memory of watching it as a kid. And I watched all those.
Yeah.
And then my sister really got into the books. I also did not read them all, and I also did not read them in the right order. I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I read Voyage of the Dawn Treader, Prince Caspian, and I read The Last Battle. And then I watched like the new movie, and I'm here to tell you that The Last Battle is actually the best book in the whole entire series. It's amazing.
If somebody had just said, don't read A Horse and His Boy and read Magician's Nephew last, I could have been the biggest Narnia stan today, but no one did those 2 things for me. And instead, here I am.
To be fair, though, I'm super into The Last Battle. Just like Rebel.
Oh. You said I'm super into The Last Battle.
Oh, my bad?
Yeah.
It's literally just because I was going to say something religious. It's because the last battle is basically Revelation. And, and I was reading Left Behind at the time, so I'm super into like the world and Revelations. And that's all the last battle is. It's just the end of the world.
That's fair. Nothing like a good apocalypse story.
I mean, not really, because it's happening.
The world's not on fire. I don't know what you're talking about. It's everything.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This definitely has everything to do with
I've watched and I don't say this to make anybody feel bad, because I never would, because I'm always impressed that people hang out and watch us anyway, but I was like looking at the numbers on the streams, and like there's like that steady down, and I'm like, somebody clicked on this expecting discussion about the Mandalorian.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not. I'm not sorry at all. It's fine. Because, like, for every, like, 10 of the people who are like, there's, like, one person who's like, this is what I've been looking
for. Oh my gosh. The Mandalorian's a good show, though.
It is.
Oh.
Oh, man. But, I suppose we could probably let everybody get going, though, because I feel like...
This is true. The thesis is read the Chronicles of Narnia, but in the wrong order. There might be a Netflix show, but the movie is dope and it's on Disney Plus.
Oh, you'll have to rewind. I don't know if it's father or son talking, but you'll appreciate my Narnia story. You just never know what's gonna come up.
Oh my gosh, never did I think we were gonna talk but I appreciate it.
Once we're done with The Mandalorian, we'll just have a stream that's just called Dope Tuna. It's David Father. Okay, very cool. Just have the Dope Tuna streams.
And there will be no planning beforehand, no notes.
Zero. That's basically what a streamcast is anyway. We just pretend there's a topic. Eventually we will get Django back. He still exists. He's still out there living his best life. But one day he will return. And then and yeah, exactly, David, that's what I was told after I read the wrong book. Again, it had a 1 on it. I don't think it's that outlandish.
I like that this is such a hot button subject.
I didn't realize it still bothered me, but it does.
I also like that if you like look up the Chronicles of Narnia on Wikipedia, there's a section called reading order. So I guess other people have also suffered. They're trying to fix it.
Oh man, but I will let you guys go, and we'll be back eventually. I don't know when the next one of these will be.
Nope.
Because our lives are a little screwy right now. But there will be another one. There will come a day where we will return. And our Discord is the best way to find out at the last second when that is. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.